Recording in progress. Okay. So, buongiorno, Alessandro.
Buongiorno.
Thank you for accepting my invitation for this interview
Oh,
in frame of my scholarship project.
thank you for asking.
Yes, I'm really glad to steal some time from my teachers to have a talk like this. First of all, I would like to ask you to tell a little story about yourself, Alessandro. Who are you and how did you came into theater world and what do you do there?
Um, it's a long story, but you will edit it. But
Yes.
I've just told this story the other day. We were having a conversation with some of the actors I've been working with, Maria Vittoria, Laura,
Hmm.
Silvia. Um, And I mean, the first thing is that I remember going to the theater, my aunt taking me to the theater to see my grandmother, who was an actress.
Mm.
And there was a scene in which there was a guy who was menacing her with a gun. And I really believed that that was real. So I cried out loud. I shouted, "Don't shoot to Nanny!" Ah! I had a crisis. And that's, I think, the reason why maybe I decided that I wanted to be a theater director to save my grandmother's life. And also probably also that is the reason why I don't like naturalistic theater. I don't like theater when there's the fourth wall, when I have to believe that that is real.
Mm.
It makes me uneasy, probably because of that initial traumatic event. Anyway, to try and make it short, so I immediately started, but really, Joanna, when I was 6 year old, to write little plays or shows and direct my
Mm.
friends at the seaside and inviting the adults to come and see them. So it's always been something that I've done. But I wanted to become a movie director.
Mm.
Then, um, when I was 17, a friend of mine at school told me that she was part of a experimental group that was working on a project of a Garcia Lorca play in Rome. And she said, "Why don't you come?" And I thought, well, if I want to become a movie director, I need to know something about acting so that I can direct actors. So I better go there. So I went there and I had a great time. I enjoyed myself very much. And then with this group, we produced a couple of productions. And then when I finished high school, um, my parents asked me what kind of college I would like to go to. And I said, I don't want to go to college. I want to do film school. And they were so sad and disappointed. I could see in their faces the sadness because they didn't have any education. So they were really hoping that their first son would have an education because they didn't have any. I mean, they finished school very early when they were kids. So I said, because I could speak a little English, so I said, okay, I'll do English literature. So it's going to be short.
Mm.
It's going to be easy. But then, when I went to college, English literature, I met my professor was Nadia Fusini, and I
Mm.
completely fell in love with her teaching, with Keats and Hamlet and Shakespeare and all those things. So I got really engaged. And the interesting thing is that one day in the halls of the university, I saw a poster advertising a workshop led by Kristin Linklater. So And I thought, well, if I want to become a movie director and want to know about acting, I need to know also something about voice. So I decided to do this workshop. But the funny thing is that I would have never known about this workshop if I didn't go to university.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big something that I always keep in mind. And I always say to my students, it's bullshit to think I want to do what I want to do. I don't want anybody to interfere with what I want to do because you never know. You never know. You know, I went to university just to please my parents, and because of that, my life completely changed and took the right direction. And now I'm teaching Linklater at the Accademia. So it's really, you know, things can happen also where you will not expect they would happen. So take it easy. Anyway, so I went and after Kristin's workshop, I did it was a 4-week workshop,
Mm.
and it was great to do it while I was studying because I could connect a lot of things with philosophy and language studies and Shakespeare, of course. Um, so it was a bliss because it was, you know, in the morning with Kristin, I would do practical work, and in the afternoon, theoretical work in a way. And after the workshop, I said to myself, no, I want to do theater, not film. Because I understood that being a very mental person, I really
Mm.
uh, um, would have taken more advantage in doing something that is more physical, more in the body, more in the presence, more dirty, if you want, less controlled.
Mm.
And then I yeah, and then I went on directing and acting and graduating and
Yes.
um, and here I am.
Okay. So you've met Kristin during your studies, but
Yeah.
what I want to ask you too, so what was the way then to become designated Linklater teacher? Because there is also a kind
Um,
of story.
yeah, I think you've heard it, but I'll tell it again. So
Yes.
I have this workshop when I'm 22 with 4 weeks with Kristin Linklater, and it was, of course, as you can understand, mind blowing, mind and body and guts blowing.
Mm.
And I took it really seriously. I thought that was the law, and so seriously that I also misunderstood a lot of things. But anyway, at the end of the workshop, I really thought I want to go to the States and study with this woman. But then I also thought, no, maybe my duty is to bring this woman to Italy, not me to go to her, but bring her here.
Mm.
And later in 1995, when I was directing this crazy project, this production of Virginia Woolf's The Waves on stage, the whole novel in 9 parts, each week one chapter, with a group of actors. While I was working with them, I thought, I really would need that woman now. She would help them a lot. And because my sister was living in the States, I went to the States that summer and I tried to find Kristin, and I found her and invited her to come to Scania, in fact.
Mm.
Uh, and and it was 1998, and I organized my first workshop of Kristin. And the funny thing is that when she arrived, things went so that the day she arrived, I was shooting The Talented Mr. Ripley as an actor. My play, one play that I wrote and directed, was opening in a festival in Rome, and Kristin Linklater was arriving. So, you know, when you go, wow, how should I be in 3 different
Yeah.
places at the same time? Um, and so Kristin came, and then she came again, and she said that she would come every time that I asked if every year I would find a more beautiful place for her to give a workshop. So we
Mm.
ended up in Stromboli and the documentary that you know. Then I went to the States. I had a working permission to work in the States in New York. So I was, you know, we spent a lot of time together. I was watching her classes. And we would also have, you know, fun, dinners, theaters,
Mhm.
movies. We were
Mm.
friends.
Mm.
Because I wasn't a student of her in a way, you know, I was the one who organized her workshops. Then, you know, in and at the beginning of the new millennium, I started to go to Germany and take her workshops because I was always translating the workshops in Italy, but I was never doing them. And so I went to Germany and studied with her. But again, I was a student of a workshop. I wasn't her student. And when everybody would, you know, not everybody, but Andrea Herring and other people would tell me, why don't you become a Linklater teacher? Why don't you go through the designation process? And I spoke very shyly. I spoke with Kristin about it. I still remember where in a restaurant in Union Square. And she said, no, 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 you don't have to do that because we are friends. And if you went through the designation process, I would have to bully you. And I don't want to bully you because I want you to be my friend. And also, I want you to be a director, not a Linklater teacher. So, okay. Then in 2007 or 8, I don't remember exactly, I received a call from a teacher at the National Academy of Dramatic Arts in Rome, Silvio
Mhm.
D'Amico, most important institution in Italy for actors. And I mean, this is a long story, but I'll try and make it short. In those years, the students had occupied the Accademia because they had discovered they were not happy at all with the director and the teachers that he chose. And they discovered also that there were some bad things going on in terms of money and using the use of money. So they occupied the school and they, you know, sent letters to the newspaper. So it was a big scandal. And the one of the teachers who then became the new director, Lorenzo Salvetti, uh, tried to save the situation. The students said,
Mhm.
"Okay, we're going to finish the occupation if we get these and these and these and these." They made requests. And among these requests, they asked that there would be a Linklater teacher. That they,
Really?
yeah, that they would receive Linklater as voice work.
Wow.
Because in the meanwhile, the Linklater work had become very popular in Italy, also because of Andrea Herring, Kristin Linklater, Andrea Herring, and especially Susan Main,
Mhm.
who came and did a lot of workshops in a space that doesn't exist anymore. And to this workshop, a lot of famous movie actors participated. So, you know, the word was spread that the work was good and that a lot of important famous movie actors would appreciate it and like it and suggested it, recommended it.
Mhm.
So I received this call from a teacher from the Accademia saying, Alessandro, the students want to have Linklater work. Would you come and teach? And I said, I can't because I'm not a designated teacher. I can't do it. And then I spoke with Laura. And Laura said, Alessandro, don't be stupid. You have to. I mean, this is going to change the history of Italian theater. You have to. You have to go there. So I took the courage and called Kristin and said, Kristin, so and so and so, such and such. And Kristin said, okay, so you'll have to do the designation process. And so I did the process, I became a teacher, and then I started to teach.
Wow,
That's the story.
that's
You know,
amazing
see,
story.
again, it's funny because I became a Linklater teacher because the world asked me. I wasn't. Yes, I was. Yeah, I thought about it, but you know, when
Mhm.
Kristin said no, I said, okay, it's fine, it's good. I mean, I went. That was not my project, and of course, she bullied me a lot.
As she promised.
And then she came to me and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Alessandro." And I said to her, "Kristin, I'm paying you to do that, so don't be sorry because if you didn't do it, I would ask my money back."
All right. Yes. Well, I remember myself very shy on the first workshop with Kristin in Orkney when something opened up and I was barely speaking English. Well, I was so scared, and I was so scared about her, but also kind of in love with her. And I remember the kind of calling that I heard in myself during the work, because it was changing everything. And then I asked her, what would I do to get to know the work so I could really do that. And Kristin was like, oh, it's so expensive. This is what she said. But this is when the dream about about getting to know the work was planted in me. And then you were the one who was my main leading teachers during my designation process. So
Which was very, when Andrea asked me, I really went, what? Have I gone so far? And
hmm,
yeah, yeah, and it is strange.
but I learned a lot. So uh, practicing Linklater for me myself, not as a teacher but as a human being and a performer, of course, became a navigator, I could say. And nowadays, when I started to work on my scholarship project, and it's about the mental crisis of a performer and how the elements of actor's craft can support the the psychophysical well-being, which is a big topic, and I don't want to go so much into that, but I wanted to point that what Kristin describes as actor's quartet, so body, voice, intellect, emotions, conducted by the creative imagination, became like a map for me, so I can choose the direction that I feel that I need to explore a bit more between body, voice, and trying to find the balance in that. So the question now from me to you would be, how does this idea of actors quartet, but also the Linklater work that you do, is influencing, how you or does it influence the way how you work with actors when you direct?
I don't know. An actress friend of mine who came to see this Hamlet recently, last week, she did a couple of workshops with Kristin. She knows Kristin. She knew Kristin, and
Mhm.
um, she said to
Mhm.
me, "I saw a lot of Kristin in it."
Mhm.
Um, but especially referring to what she said, what she taught us about Shakespeare.
Mm.
I rarely lead a warm-up when I direct a play because
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable in playing both
And
roles, I think. But, I don't, but I do sometimes. And when I do it, I feel better.
mm.
And the actors also feel better. And they told me, we like to be warm up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And in during the performances, before the show, I warmed myself up a little bit by myself, and then I could see that they would gather around me and do what I was doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever we can think of the Linklater work that you and I believe is very good, but I think it's important for anybody to have some things, a moment of, okay, here I am before going to the show. Still, what I've learned in Stromboli, rehearsing among people coming and going with a lot of distractions, and also now that the more the actors, relaxation is a very interesting word, and sometimes relaxation come out of what in Italian we call cazzeggio, which
Mm.
means silliness. I don't know how to say it. So making jokes, laughing, making jokes about each other, making jokes about the play, creating an atmosphere of not taking it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think, the best warm up. Yeah, because it really opens up. Uh,
Yes, thank
and
you.
and and takes off a lot of pressure, and it's just to remind oneself, yes, okay, but what are we doing? We're pretending that we are King Claudius, and this is hilarious. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous, and if you play that, the audience will receive it, and you are more open as a child to touch deep real things,
Mm.
because the more playful you are, the more I think you are. No, I mean, I don't want to make it a law. I mean, I'm sure that each actors and each director has their own way, but this is what I discovered.
Mm.
So, for instance, we decided that in this Hamlet, the audience would enter and we were still preparing ourselves, going on the stage, making jokes with each other, saying hello to the audience, but in a very real way, not,
Mm-hmm.
rehearsed it, really real. And hugging people if they're friends, and but without ritual, with no ritual at all. And this is something that somebody wrote about the Stromboli Festival, and somebody wrote it is very ritualistic without having any ritual.
Mm.
Because then I think I've learned in Stromboli, I've learned it also in Piazza Sempione this summer when we did Hamlet in this square with no protection at all. I've learned that the magic can happen, doesn't have to be imposed.
Mm.
And when it happens, because it happens, it's real magic. When it happens because somebody who walks through the square, maybe still with the bags, shopping bags, or with a dog, and stops and goes, "Oh, what are they
Mm-hmm.
doing?" That's magic. If I gather people and say, "Now we're going to do something very magic. You have to be very concentrated and leave your troubles away and be focused on this," then uh, for me personally, that is less magic.
Mm. Yes, so magic is something that can happen to you if you really let the things
Yeah, if you're
loose.
open, which means, which means that you're open also to laughing and making jokes and not taking you too seriously. You and the and what you're doing. And I don't know if Kristin would have agreed, really. But I think that and I think I've learned it somehow from her and my experience, especially the experience at the Stromboli Fest, that lightness is um, is a is a path to depth. And I could see that in this Hamlet, what the most of the feedback was on how the audience felt engaged and involved and addressed. A student of mine said, it was great to feel that you were doing this for us. I felt that you were doing this for us. And I think I've learned that from Kristin. I mean, from the Linklater work, yes, but also from, for instance, for having cleared for me the function of the soliloquy in Shakespeare.
Yes.
So I really asked the actors to talk to the audience. And even, I asked Alessio, who was playing Hamlet, in the scene with the mother, in the middle of the scene, when he says, I must be cruel only to be kind, to step out of the scene and go to the audience and say, I must be cruel only to be kind, and then go back and go on in the scene. As for the voice work, I had an experience, a very deep experience, last Saturday. I warmed myself up with the musician. There is a musician in the play who plays the guitar. And so he led me through some arpeggios with humming arpeggios.
Yes.
And of course, I did those, with my mind on the sigh of relief, the loose belly, the relaxed tongue, all things that we've learned from Kristin. And so when I went on stage, because I play a little three characters, but then at the end I play the priest. I had this very intense Linklater experience because I said the line, it's a long line that I say to Laertes when I go, Laertes go, nothing more, and I go, no, because we're not sure about her death, and thank God, because we got permission to give her, to bury her in a safe. And he goes, and he repeats, and really nothing more, and I go, no. And that no really dropped on a very low level of vibrations, low in terms not of volume, but in terms of no. But I didn't do it. My voice was really responding to the impulse of answering of my being annoyed with him. So I really felt, I think it's strange after 30 years, 40 years, for the first time in my life, I really felt, wow, yes, the voice responds. I don't have to do it. Which, especially for a Linklater teacher, actor, is difficult because I don't know about you, but for me, I feel that I have to somehow demonstrate that my voice is free and can go everywhere. So I think I'll let it go here, I'll let it go there. And that was something that Kristin also had, this problem that he had to, you know.
I know.
And I felt I don't have to do it. It goes with my thoughts and it changes. And I really felt the difference so vividly, so clearly, and so much in my body and in my soul for the first time in my life. 3 days ago,
Mm.
4 days ago. The work works,
The
but
work works. Yeah.
but it's important to let yourself, as Kristin writes, to bury the work and your voice to the altar of truth. So whatever means truth, in that moment, the truth was that I went, what was the line? Le vengono invece concesse le ghirlande virginali e i fiori di fanciulla sulla tomba con tanto di solenne sepoltura. Da, 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 da. No,
Mhm.
it really went there without me thinking about it.
So you've offered your body, your human instruments. You offered it for the communication in here and now in this moment. I think that's the goal. That would be the
Yeah,
goal, to be
yeah,
like this. The
yeah. But I observed that that night I warmed myself up. And I warmed myself up with another person who was leading it. So I opened myself to change. I
yes.
wasn't doing my usual warm up to myself. I tried a different way.
Mm.
And that's also, I think, very important, not to get into rituals again, no? Because rituals can be also habits.
Yes. Yes. We should avoid the situation when it's like, because I know it's comfortable. I will do my warm up and then I will do my show. Then then there is no space for magic probably. But you've pointed the thing about warm up, which, well, you talked a lot about that, so I don't have to ask you separately for that, because for me the warm up is also very important. The warm up before the workshop or the performance, but sometimes the warm up to come out to meet the world. It's the same instrument I am warming up, but you've described that in a very beautiful way. So sometimes the moments of truth, however you understand that, can happen, and they are just delicious. The moments of truth connection. Yes. Well, there is one thing I remember from the talk with you when we've met last time when I was visiting you in Rome. You said something, because we were talking about the importance of warm up, like for, yes, for every day, for yourself, even if this is a ritual. You said something beautiful about the touch of sound.
Mm.
Yes, I just wanted maybe to bring back the thought about that, because if the purpose is for yourself, not for leading the work, going to the performance, talking to people, but for yourself, what the this delicate, subtle meeting of your voice in the touch of sound can do for you, what it can offer for, or how you can offer yourself to being here and now.
Kristin talks about initial vibration
Yes.
and she talks about neutral sound. And one day in an interview, she said, it's like the sounds of babies.
Mm.
Um, because she says, the thought of a neutral sound, let the thought of a neutral sound drop in. And she said, yeah, the neutral thought, because what is a baby thinking when he does, uh, and that
Mm.
clicked something in me, switched something in me. That initial vibration, neutral sound is like
Mm.
the first seed for everything.
Mm.
Because that uh, then will open to all the words that we say, all the cries, the laughter, whatever we do. So it's a neutral sound not because it doesn't mean anything, but because it means everything. There's everything there. And basically, it's, what babies do and what birds do. They just say, like saying,
Mm,
I am
mhm,
here. I am here in my voice. I'm here because I have a voice, and that brings me into the space because my voice is part of my body, is an attribute of my body. So my voice is me in the space and open to the relation.
mm,
So the experience of the touch of sound is a reminder of that.
mm,
I'm here. I'm here as a body and soul in the space, open to relationship, open to dialogue, open to exchange.
mm,
So I find it very, it gives me a sense of presence and of being somewhere and someone without, besides all the problems that I might have in my biography, in all my neuroses, all my things. It's just, uh, I become a baby again, but not I become a baby as I become just a potential human being.
mm,
Uh,
mhm, mhm,
and for me, it was really a long, 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 long journey to get to the experience of the touch of sound. I mean, it happened. Uh, it happens not 20 years after my first workshop with Kristin, and 5 years after no, maybe 3 years after studying again with her. And I remember I was lying on the floor of a hotel room in New York, and I had to say to myself, Alessandro, you're not going to die. You're alone in your room, lying on the floor. Nothing can happen. Huh. And then I felt, oh, this was happening. This was coming from below.
mhm,
It wasn't coming from here. It was coming from below. And then
mhm,
that night I had dinner with Kristin. I think I told you, and I spoke
yes.
about it with her. And she said, yes, of course, because we tend to identify ourselves with our neuroses. So the feeling of I lives here. But that feeling of I that the touch of sound can make us experience lives somewhere else. Doesn't live in our neurosis, lives in our zoe, not in our bio, but in our zoe. If
Mhm,
you want to think of the difference of the term, the Greek term for life,
mhm, mm. Well,
Uh, so and that is for me um, a useful tool of self psychotherapy.
yes, it can be. It can be. Thank you for telling this story. It is very inspiring. I wanted to hear it again because I have a dream that once I will experience the touch of sound as true, as honest, as embracing as you are describing that.
Well, it will be your touch of sound. Of
Yes, yes, of course, it will be one and only.
And it doesn't happen it's not always like that,
I know, I know.
I recently also discovered, finally, after 40 years, how it, at its best, is the byproduct of a sigh of relief.
Yes,
I just have to sigh and desire a voice. And that's the result. It's not something that I do. But, we all move, even especially when we teach, sometimes I just do it. Sometimes I sigh of relief.
yes, 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 I know.
But
not
again,
in a
it doesn't have to be a rule. It's something to reenact in the body so that when we act, we give ourselves a chance not to, a chance to live in the moment and be in, you know, in what's happening and have a free voice to answer to what's happening. Also, the work on the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And the spine, you know, from the first dropping down and coming up, rolling down and rolling up to the hum train. So the spine itself, the possibility of thinking into the spine, and then the possibility of feeling the vibrations running through the spine. I feel that that's an experience that can possibly give oneself a spine. You know, feel that, okay, whatever happens to me, I still have a spine. I have a living spine. And I say to my students, I say, this is going to be useful for you when directions will treat you very badly or terrible things will happen in your life. You just remember you have a living spine, that it's like a tree inside you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. Yes.
you're welcome.
Yes, that was very inspiring. Thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your stories.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. And keep me posted on the development of your thesis. You have to write a thesis. You have to write a report. What?
I write essays, so I choose the my way into sharing the experience. So it's not like a thesis because I want it also to be very communicative for people who might be interested in the topic. So
Mm.
potentially for performers. So this is, and I am already writing and posting that on my website. It's in Polish, so
If you have in mind the possibilities one day to have it translated in English, then you can send it to magazines and to have it published somewhere.
maybe. Yes, it will not disappear. But for now, I want to accomplish that. But to say the last thing, and this is the short question maybe to you. What will be in the nearest future possibilities to meet the work? Because you will organize some things. Yes, the Stromboli, any workshop in Tuscania with Mary Conway. Uh,
There is a workshop in Tuscany with Mary Conway that Margarete is organizing.
it's Margareta. All right, all right.
Did you know about that? Did you know about it?
Yes,
Ah,
yes, and I'm very tempted to participate.
yes, Stromboli. I don't know if we will have the workshop this year,
Okay.
but there will be the fest. I still don't know exactly what the theme will be, but the fest will go from June 21st to June 30th.
So something to look at the
Yes.
horizon. All right. Grazie mille. Have a
Ciao,
very good
prego.
day. Bye
Buona giornata,
bye.
Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
Yes, and Merry Christmas to you and don't get
Merry
cold
Christmas.
too much. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.